Hey, my name is Justin Von Eigen, and I've personally recruited and trained thousands of final expense agents to learn how to sell final expense life insurance 100% over the phone. And today I'm going to go over the top 3 reasons why I see people fail out of this business. So why people don't succeed, the main reasons that I see people come in and then leave very quickly, because this business has a considerably high turnover rate, regardless of how much assistance and support the agents get. Quick little disclaimer, I had a pepper flake on my tooth for this entire video. Super embarrassing, but I wasn't about to film it over. So if you see it, that's what it is. The first thing that I see, and is almost a telltale sign that someone is not going to make it in this business, is a lack of action. A lack of action can happen on many different levels, and I'm going to get into it a little bit and elaborate on what I mean, because there's layers to this lack of action thing. First off, when someone is just starting, I see a lot of the lack of action come from agents feeling like they have to know everything before they can even get going, and feeling like they have to be perfect and they have to be really, really good at this. Anything that you do for the first time, you're not going to be good at. That fear of failure because you're not good is actually a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if someone doesn't feel like they'd be good and it feels like they're going to fail, then they're going to end up failing anyway because they don't take the actions that they need to succeed. So I see it all the time. Agents come in, we have training for several days when people start. They shadow experienced agents, they role play. We have an extremely good training program here. And still, when that day comes for agents to get on the phone and make calls, trust me, I've seen more grandmothers pass away. I've seen more family emergencies. I've seen more hospital visits than I've ever seen in my life from when people have to actually get on the phone. Now, do people actually have emergencies? Probably. But is some stuff in their head and some stuff a lie and some stuff maybe just, not really the truth? Definitely. If you're scared to do it, just take action and put that foot forward, because if you don't do that, you're never going to succeed. And this goes to your finances as well, right? Like, I recommend new agents all the time to buy non-resident licenses. When I started in this business, I had to invest in leads. I had to invest in training programs to learn how to generate my own leads. I had to invest in sales training programs to learn how to sell. You don't have to have the money. You just have to have a credit card. Put the money on credit, or spend a lot of time on YouTube learning and digesting the content that's on there, because a lack of action in training is huge too. This is not a job where you clock in, clock out, and then for the rest of the time of the day, you don't have to think about this. No, you have to be obsessed with this in your first year to succeed. If that's not you, or you're like, oh, I can't do that, then this business probably isn't for you, to be honest, because that's what you got to do to be good at this. You have to be obsessed. It's got to be like the dominating thought on your mind for most of the day. Everyone I know who does well, they're that obsessed. And when you're committed like that, you end up doing the things that you need to do to get better. You end up investing the money in sales training, investing the money in your lead generation, buying the leads that you need. I used to buy leads. Our agents don't buy leads here now, but for the people that I see personally, what could they do to do better? They could invest more time into training. And trust me, if you don't have a bunch of money, you don't need money to get leads. When I started, I didn't have any leads. The IMO that I started with, the carrier I started with, they didn't believe in leads. So I just walked around A1A in Boca Raton, Federal Highway, and door knocked a bunch of businesses. And I got a bunch of sales that way. I met some really cool people. I developed some good relationships. Yeah, did some people kick me out of their stores? For sure. But there were plenty of people who were like, yeah, you know what? I do need life insurance. This is something that's important to me. So you don't need leads to be successful. You don't have to go buy leads to be successful. Just take action and make it happen. You need massive levels of action in your sales. You need massive levels of action in your activity. You need massive levels of action to learn how to generate leads or to generate leads. You need massive levels of action on everything. Anything in your life will lead to poverty in all levels of your life. So you need to go all in. You do one thing the way you do everything. I'm a big believer in that. And you got to just take action and go every day and be consistent with it. Try to do this. This may be a way that you can overcome this. Take action even if it's scary. Should you not be scared before you take action, right? Should you have the courage to do it? Should you want to feel confident before you take action? Yeah. But do you need to feel confident before you take action? No, you don't need to. Can you still do something if you're scared? Yes, you just have to push through it and objectify it. Another thing you can do is give yourself way more to do in a day than you can possibly get done. So if you find that you're not doing enough and you're not getting enough done and you're not taking enough action, make a list of things to do that day pertaining to your business and make it like twice as long. Because the more you give yourself to do, the more you're gonna get done. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but I'm telling you, give yourself a laundry list list of things to do. Some of those things can be watching a certain amount of videos on YouTube to watch, reading a certain amount of pages of a book, making a certain amount of phone calls in a day, role playing for a certain amount of time in the day. These are just examples of things you can do, but those phone calls are the most important thing, by the way. Your day just has to be filled up with things that are going to help your business. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications if you find value in this. If you'd like a copy of my sales script, just email me at jve@thejve.com. That's jve@thejve.com. The second reason why most people fail out of this business is they're emotionally weak. They can't handle their environment. The factors in their environment are so pressuring on them that they're not able to function confidently and optimally. There's two types of people. There are people who are victims, whose environments control them. Something bad happens to someone in their life, or something in their life happens that's bad or whatever, and it dictates how their day goes. Maybe they feel like they are dealt certain circumstances, or the cards weren't dealt the right way for them, or something like that. And they're really victims of the world. All these things are going on that prevent them from being successful. And really all it is a big excuse. There's no way someone who is going to do that can succeed. Now, I have people who are like, oh my gosh, my kids, this, that, the third, I can't work, it's so hard. I also have people who are like, oh my gosh, my kids, this, that, and the third, I'm making it happen because of them no matter what. And I get it done. No excuses, only results count. You got to have thick skin. You got to not care what people tell you. You got to be okay with rejection. You got to be okay with people telling you no. You have to be okay with people shooting you down. You can't let your emotions get the best of you in this business, because if you do, man, that is a bad formula. How do you overcome the fear? How do you overcome these environmental factors that may be holding you back? Well, the first thing you have to do is drop the victim mentality, because the world doesn't feel bad for you. No one cares, actually. No one cares. You got to make it happen no matter what. I used to be in that situation where I said, oh my God, all this stuff in my life is preventing me from being successful. What helped me do that? I don't know. I had like a breakthrough at one point in my life. When I got clean off drugs, it was like, I had this I don't know. It was just like one day I was like, dude, you are not a victim. You did everything. Everything in your life is because of you. But the good thing is that you can overcome everything in your life because of you. And then second thing that can really help too is making this quantitative. So quantifying what you need to do to succeed. I tell agents, like new agents all the time, they're like, oh my gosh, this person told me they didn't want it. This person said they didn't like me. This person yelled at me. Oh my gosh, that's going to happen. If you're not getting those things, you're not making enough phone calls. You're not talking to enough people. If you're a new agent, 1 out of 5 presentations to the quote, conservatively, should be a sale. If you go through a full script and present to 5 people and give them numbers, 1 out of 5 should buy. So if you focus on the numbers, sometimes that can help take the emotion out of it. You got to be real with yourself too. Like most people who say they're working full time in this business, they're not really working full time. So you can actually break down exactly what you're doing hour by hour on a daily basis. That'll help you extrapolate out with a graph. Like, hey, if I do this much whatever, if I have this many presentations or this many sits or this many appointments or whatever, then it's going to result in me making this many sales and this much money. The third reason is lack of a plan. Any plan is better than no plan at all. Your first plan, you're never going to be successful on your first plan. It's just not going to work. Your first plan is going to be a terrible plan. You're going to exercise it and you're going to fail miserably. And you're going to beat yourself up. And you're going to be like, man, that plan was terrible, right? It's like the first time you approach a sales presentation, you get beat up and you're like, wow, my plan to make that sale did not happen the way that I wanted it to happen. But you had a plan. At least you had a plan, because this is what happens. You go back to the drawing board. You don't spend days at the drawing board. I'm talking like a few minutes. You analyze what you did wrong, and then you make adjustments so that moving forward, you won't make that same mistake anymore. Mistakes are okay as long as you make them once. Rick Madon, who ran the New York Life South Florida general office, told me that when I started. Mistakes are okay, Justin, as long as you make them once. For instance, if you call a client and they keep telling you they already have insurance, or they're not interested, or they don't have time, or whatever, and you can't push through those objections in the greeting, and you keep getting hung up on at that point, you're not getting any presentations in because you can't get through that part of your sale, then that is a constraint in your plan that is faulty. So you have to go back and analyze, because this is not working for me right at this point. I have to adjust it, and then you go and execute. And even the second time around, it may not be any good. So then you got to go back to the drawing board and analyze and adjust and then execute again. And I've done this over and over and over and over and over. I mean, thousands of times, literally hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. And it's a work in progress, right? Like it's like the Constitution. You can amend it. It's gonna grow. It's gonna work with the times. It's gonna mold itself to your success. So please write any plan. Write down a list of what you need to get done for the week. Most people write a plan. It doesn't work the first time, so they quit. They miss that valuable step. If it's not failing, right? Like you don't fail. You just quit. So if you feel like, oh, I failed, you didn't fail. You just didn't do it right the first time. It's an area of opportunity. Don't be scared. You don't have to be motivated to put it in action. You don't have to have these massive goals and dreams yet. You may not know what they are. It does really, really help for motivation and putting in action, but you do it just to do it. Detach the emotion from it. Don't be scared, just go all in. If you're interested in learning what we do here at SLS and you'd like to work with me, just email me at jve@thejve.com. Or if you're interested in learning like what we have to offer, we're not a good fit for everybody. I only look for people who are going all in, 100%, like max effort every day. And if you can't do that, that's okay. But I hope this video helped you either way. Subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and watch this next video coming up. It's really, really gonna help you in your career.